So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Not a politician. He's not politically correct, and he's
In a way, you're kind of more outspoken than your father
The
sometimes.
son of the 45th president joins me right now.
It's good to be back. I got a little bit of the Trump gene. I can't shut up. I got to keep fighting. We are in a fight for the future of our country, for our very existence.
This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. The other side knows it, and that's why they've gone to such great lengths to stop it.
Do not. What we're fighting for is working.
They're not actually going after Trump. They're going after all of us. He was just the guy in the way.
Don't ever stop. What's going on, Turning Point? Wow, you know, when you're opening up like the Sunday morning, it's always a little risky, right? Because you assume, you know, people may sleep in, they may not show up. I mean, this is amazing. I was talking with Charlie yesterday and early this morning. You know, I was a little nostalgic going back to like 2015, where this very meeting was like 300 people. Right? I mean, no, it's so amazing when you, like, that's how it started. And it was such an awesome thing to be a part of a movement, of a growing movement, that he's done so incredibly, frankly, growing. I mean, this is the future of conservatism right here. And, you know, there's no doubt it's going to keep going, but it's just, honestly, it's awesome just to be able to see this many people, this motivated, this early in a cycle, because you're sick and tired of what's become of our country. I mean, we've had a pretty interesting week, haven't we, guys? I was told a couple of years now that decency was on the ballot. This thing with Democrats and projection is truly spectacular, right? Decency was on the ballot, and then I saw like the White House Christmas video, and I'm saying, man, I think, you know, remind me of like the Princess Bride. Like, you keep saying this word, but I don't think you know what it means. Right? You know what I'm talking about? Decency was on the ballot. I saw the White House video, and it was like, you know, I don't know what the hell it was, but it looked like, you know, trans activist White House Christmas video, I guess. I'm saying, interesting as it relates to decency. And I thought that was the worst the Democrats could do this week, but we were grossly outdone the next day. When Senate staffers are filming gay pornos in a Senate hearing room. I don't know if they're just trying to bring back the mask mandates and but what's going on? Decency, right? The adults are back in charge. But they can do this because they realize there's no one actually there as a countermeasure to this insanity, right? That wasn't just a young guy being a young guy. That's a power play, right? We're going to turn off all the videos in here and we're going to do this. And we're going to share it because we're beyond reproach. If you think the radicals are the leaders in Congress, the Nancy Pelosi's, no. It's these 20-something-year-olds that have never been told no, that are told there's 9,476 genders and that's the gospel, that believe in convenient science that's made up on the spot to fulfill whatever political narrative they have. Decency is actually on the ballot in 2024 again. Last time, we got degeneracy. Decency is on the ballot. We got Hunter Biden this week talking about decency, the Republicans, because they had the gall to ask him to come in and do a deposition, discussing one of thousands of instances of him selling out our country, enriching his family. I mean, I use me as the example. We've done this one before. I take it a little bit personally, right? Because I did 50 hours of congressional testimony. 50 hours. Think about how much time that is, right? And they're doing the game, right? No, he'll do public hearings. Just so we're all clear, the public hearings, it's not transparent. It's the opposite. You get 5 minutes and 5 minutes, and the questions are from congressmen looking to get a 2-second clip on Twitter. Like, you can't get into the details because it transfers over. The media will sell it. No, that's being transparent. It's exactly the opposite. When I went in, you had hours on end of repeated questioning from the Democrat staffers and the lawyers that actually deal with this stuff. Not the Congress people that can't be bothered with it and aren't going to be focused on it. But like all things that they tell you, it's a lie. It's designed to appear to be transparent while being exactly the opposite. He can't be bothered. What do you think would have happened to me? If I blew off one of the, I guess I did what? 5 different congressional testimonies, right? House Intelligence, Senate Intelligence, House Judiciary, Senate Intelligence again, and then the sham January 6th committee, right? So, total of 5 different subpoenas. I go in there. You know why? Because I'm a man. You go in there and you take it like a man. And if you didn't actually do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But Hunter's not a man. He's a 50-year-old baby. Right now, hey, we all saw that speech. They're being indecent. I'm like, hey, man, I've seen your laptop. Maybe, just maybe, you should lose that word from your vocabulary. I don't know. Again, if it was the Don Jr. laptop from hell, you all would have heard about it. You would have seen it. You wouldn't have been censored for sharing the pictures, right? Because decency's on the ballot. Decency. What else have they done this week? Oh, just the whole administration, right? You had the trans nuclear waste guy stealing baggage, because of course he got that job because he was the most qualified, not because he checked off a bunch of boxes. He wore a dress and lipstick as a dude, therefore you should be in charge of the major organizations in our country. You don't have to actually be qualified, but guess what, folks? You don't actually have to be qualified to be the president of Harvard anymore either. We saw that, right? And my alma mater, I don't have a lot to be proud of, but at least they fired the president. Now, she didn't get to check off as many boxes, so she actually gets fired. At Harvard, apparently they stand by plagiarism. Now, if you were a student there, you'd be out. They got rid of 50 people in the last 2 years for plagiarism. Students. But when the president, who was a lackluster academic at best, only only published 11 academic papers. 5 of them were plagiarized. So let's just say just under 50% of her academic career has been plagiarized. That doesn't matter. So you can have a response to the rape and genocide of women and girls in the streets of Israel that is, let's call it, incredibly lackluster at best. You can essentially condone that. You can take the side of Hamas terrorists on the campus of Harvard. You can plagiarize 50% of your academic works, and you can face no consequence. You know why that is? Because the house of cards that DEI is built on crumbles when there's actual accountability for the BS that is DEI. That's all it is. And so for me, hey, I graduated from Penn, right? We used to be leaders. We created Donald Trump. Penn created Donald Trump. Created Elon Musk. Created Don Jr. I'm not going to say that's in the same level, but, you know, it's not bad. Now they're creating trans swimmers, Leah Thomas. But think of the decline in academia, right? You go from that to leading the charge of making sure that men are allowed to compete in women's sports. That's a downgrade, folks. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty serious downgrade. But what's good about all of this stuff is people are waking up. They're understanding the hypocrisy of literally everything that is out there on a daily basis. The lies we're told, they see it in the Harvard admission stuff. Now, honestly, as a business guy, I used to have my Penn Wharton diploma. This is something you wore with pride. It meant you accomplished something there. Now it doesn't mean anything. Today, if I was hiring as a business, I would much rather have someone from a state school that broke their ass and worked hard than some drama queen from Penn, Harvard. You know, they get to work on day one. They expect a 3-hour workday. They've been told they're the best at everything, even if these days it seems they probably don't have to be if they check off the requisite boxes. They're going to be in HR in 2 minutes complaining about some sort of grievance. It's not worth it. But like all of those things, at least it's all coming together. People are seeing it. You see it out in the streets. You see it in the places that are Democrat strongholds. They understand that the Democrat Party policy has failed. The woke ideology that dominates the left does not work. They see that the lies that they were told about Trump for years upon end, was all bullshit, folks. But most importantly, they're understanding that everything was better under Trump. It's true. Have you seen some of the statistics as it relates to people's mortgages and their pay? They're up 90%. You know how debilitating that is when that really kicks in? Right? The people who have a 5 years, ARM, like an adjustable rate mortgage. You hit that time throughout, it resets. You're paying 90% more. When all of that stuff clicks in, and it's happening, you combine that with inflation. You combine that with literally everything across the board. People's expenses are through the roof. You're going to bankrupt half the country. And at this point, it almost feels intentional. It has to be. No, seriously. This is something I say all the time. But if you were trying to destroy America from within, would you do anything differently than today's Democrat Party? We want to blame Joe Biden, but in all fairness, Joe Biden doesn't know where he is. He's like an imbecile at best. At best, on a good day. And that's when they jack him up so he appears like, I mean, you can't say, like, lucid, because that's never the case, but, like, he appears to be 10% lucid for 7 minutes before the stuff wears off, right? So you know it's not him. But he's been good for the radical left, and it's not the Democrat Party anymore, because it's clear these are communists, they are Marxists, they don't pretend anymore. They're saying these things out loud on a daily basis. They're pushing for wars, they're pushing for globalism. You will own nothing and be happy, folks. Hey, their policies are pushing you to that, because the average person won't be able to afford to buy a home right now. So you'll rent. You know, and BlackRock will make sure that you become a permanent renter. And then, you know, they'll still fly G5s and eat steak while you're supposed to eat bugs and be happy with no responsibility. AI is going to displace 90% of the workers in the country within a matter of years. They need you to be fat, weak, stupid, unhealthy, because if you are, they can control you. I mean, isn't it so obvious? Right? We're going to flood the border. We could do something about it. I mean, honestly, it's sort of hard to believe. This time last year, I was making fun of him on the stage, and rightfully so. John Fetterman. All right. No, I mean, you got someone on stage who had, let's call it serious cognitive issues. Even he's like, okay, we got to close the border. This is ridiculous. I'm like, no, I mean, I'm serious, right? Like, the guy that's incapable of putting on a suit in the United States Senate, like, he's like, hey, like, Israel should be able to defend itself, and we should close down our borders because what's going on is insane. I mean, he is the reasonable Democrat? Like, I'm like, yeah. I was like, man, I actually agree with this guy. Like, I mean, he couldn't form a sentence in a debate. He wins the United States Senate seat. I went after him a little bit because, I don't know, I guess I'm old school. I believe that someone who is making trillion-dollar decisions for me, for you, for our children and grandchildren should be able to form a complete sentence. I understand that in today's Democrat Party, that is viewed as discriminatory. They called me an ableist, right? Ableist, someone who discriminates someone against, I guess, those with disabilities. I'm like, well, listen, it's not like he's in a wheelchair. Like, he can't actually think. But he's actually smarter than the other Democrats. Like, you know, so I imagine there'll be a lot of other surprises coming this year. You see all the lawfare. You see the lies. You see what they're trying to do to my father. Now you see the stuff. Hey, but guess what? There was actually voter fraud, but it doesn't matter now. We won't talk about that then. It doesn't matter because we've already changed, so we can't do anything retroactive. That's the thing. Like all the conspiracy theories, they always come true. There's no such thing as a conspiracy theory. It's just how long till the average person is able to get through and bypass the constant inundation from the media, from big tech, from the biggest liars out there. That's the truth. But again, it's gotten so extreme. It's gotten so ridiculous. Those entities are working so much more overtime to try to lie to you, to force you that even the person who's, you know, not like you guys, you're here, right? You're into this. You're watching it. You're looking for the anomalies. You're saying, hey, it just doesn't make any sense, but you're actually paying attention. There's a lot of people that are struggling in America right now. You know, Bidenomics, I can assure you, is not the wonderful. It's ridiculous, but again, those big, powerful entities, and these aren't like one or two people. These are trillion-dollar institutions that are spending the vast majority of their time lying to you to manipulate an outcome, right? That's effective. When you're just trying to put food on the table, when you're trying to live your American dream, when you're trying to make up the difference because your mortgage now costs 90% more, you're listening to a lot of that stuff. It's noise in the background. So I love seeing a crowd like this, because when you see this crowd year after year, as I have for 8 or 10 years that I've been involved, which are, okay, our efforts, the insanity that, for me, that I've gone through personally, that they certainly are trying to do to my father and family, but the attacks on all of you, right? It's not just us, I promise you. Like, I get it. Okay, my whole thing, you got to get out there, you got to be unafraid. I understand there's a consequence. No one understands that probably better than my family right now. There's some others, let's call it the January 6thers, they probably understand it even better, but they're trying to do that to my father. Because he led, apparently, I'm told, the first unarmed insurrection in the history of insurrections. I mean, it's, I understand that he is an innovative guy, but that's probably not the way you innovate. But again, it's all BS, right? We see that now. But 2 years later, when they can no longer hide the exculpatory video, when you no longer see, oh wait, what's the FBI or the other feds in the Fedsurrection? They're pushing people down the stairs who are otherwise calm. You have the FBI director, we cannot release the video because it would give up too many of our undercover assets. I was like, oh, so they're in the crowd. So the next logical question, if we were sentient beings, which we are, but the media isn't, is why didn't they do anything? Why didn't they stop it then? It's almost as though, and I know we're getting way out here in the conspiracy theory, it's almost as though they wanted it to happen. They would then cover up the evidence. They would then use it to manipulate. Because of course that's what they're doing. They can't release the video because they had way too many in the crowd. Now you have the FBI whistleblowers. They come out where there's like Kyle Seraphin and these other guys, and they talk about it. Kyle was there for 6 years, and he was involved in, was able to blow the whistle on not just the Fedsurrection, but spying on Catholics, because practicing Catholics are domestic terrorists. I mean, domestic terrorists, according to the FBI, aren't domestic terrorists, but practicing Catholics are. He was able to be a part of and understand and know people part of, the fake Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping. Right? That just disappeared because, once the truth comes out, it can no longer be weaponized against their political enemies. Concerned mothers and parents at PTA meetings. Another radical group of domestic terrorists, according to the FBI. So the FBI can't catch actual terrorists. Everyone that commits a crime was on their watch list. They can't release the trans Shooters Manifesto because we know what that would do to the most protected class in the United States of America, if not the world right now, which is radical trans activists. They can do anything. So the FBI is not going to stop that, but they do have time to make sure that they change the way they say LBGT, whatever they... Now it's LBTGQIA plus expialidocious. They had time to change that this week. I don't know. It's all this crazy stuff. It was like when my father took out ISIS. How did he do that? He told the operators on the ground, do what you need to do. I know. It sounds like rocket science. Like, let the Navy SEALs kill bad guys. Shocking. Rather than having them do, diversity training. No, but I hear the stories. Buddies of mine that are operators in that. For years, we spend more time learning how to incorporate, whether it's females or this, into our combat. Well, does it ever happen? No, it doesn't happen, but we have to do it. They tell me they're spending more time doing that than they are shooting. Right? And then I say something publicly because, not exactly quiet. Not known for quiet. I got the Trump genes. And then the media, how does Don Jr. know? He doesn't know anything. And then guys like Rob O'Neill and Carl Higbee and these guys that were actually SEALs are like, it's 100% true. It's why we have the attrition rate in those communities, because they're like, we're not fighting for this. You know? It's why we can't recruit in the Army, because, you know, in all fairness, a big part of patriotism and willing to die for your country would be actually believing in what that country's values espouse, right? You know, if they're just paying for, you know, gender-affirming care in the military, you're like, I probably don't believe in that. I'm just going to go get a job. It's so obvious, but it's not obvious to the people in charge. So we have an incredible opportunity to do something about this insanity in 2024. But make no mistake, just because it looks good, because it feels good, because it's obvious, we can't underestimate whatever it is that they're going to come up with. They've shown how evil they are, right? The narrative of the last 2 weeks, Trump's going to be a dictator. Yeah, because he was a dictator last time, right? Like, no, of course. I mean, he's not the one trying to jail the political opposition. That's the Democrats and the weaponized DOJ and the weaponized FBI and the weaponized CIA. Trump's not on the record trying to say they're going to censor people who they disagree with politically. That's the same group of letter agencies in the United States. They're the ones putting great patriots on terror watch lists, aided and abetted by big tech. How many people in this room, by show of hands, have been silenced on social media or elsewhere? Strange, you never hear that on the other side. I mean, I see people on the left, but, you know, a 3-year-old should be able to talk to their purple-haired teacher and chop off their bodily parts without the involvement of their parents. And if you think that's wrong, you're a terrible human being. They're trying to crush the family. They're trying to crush that structure. Despite the fact that the actual science shows that those things literally lead to the most productive people, the best people, the smartest people, like across the board. But they want to shut that down because it's not about creating the best. It's about controlling them. It's about creating a population that they can control forever. And that's why we have to get involved, folks. You know, there's so much at stake. We've seen the lies. You see the projection. Again, the dictator one. I think my father handled it best. Are you going to be a dictator? No, on day one when I close down the border and start drilling again so we can take care of ourselves. But the reason they're going out there and going to other noted conservatives like Liz Cheney, who can't get like 4 points in like the most conservative state in the country, is because they understand the Democrats' biggest fear is that Trump would be like them. Because they know what they are doing. They've been doing it for years. They know what they would do if they had that power. And that is jail you and silence you. It's the projection. So watch for all the projection. Watch for it. Because they're going to do that about everything. The reality, if Trump was in charge right now, we wouldn't be sending trillions of dollars to Ukraine. For what? To enrich the next class of Ukrainian oligarchs as they pilfer the money? They don't even want systems to control it. They don't even care. And they'll send the peasants to go die on the front lines, so they keep the money train going. And Washington loves it because they can make, you know, they'll get a board seat and they'll make an extra 6 figures sitting on the board of Raytheon because they're selling more missiles. This is how it goes. Watch for it. The reason they want to be in war there and in Israel, and now we're talking about Venezuela, right? There's no money in peace, folks. There's no money in peace. And you always got to follow the money. So, guys, this year, please just make sure you all get involved, that you stay involved the way you are, that you were able to talk sense to the people who are willing to listen. And I can assure you, as people go out there and experience America under Joe Biden and the radical Democrats, they're looking for an out. But they need you guys to be a part of it. We have to become unafraid. Can't just be Donald Trump out there talking by himself. They'll take him out. They've shown that they'll do that. They're still trying. Like I said, they want to put him in jail for 1,000 years. I mean, I say he's a young and vibrant guy, but that's a long time. We need everyone to be a part of that, because if you're all a part of that movement, if you're all a part of that process, if you're all out there talking and fighting and having these conversations and volunteering, we can win and we can save our country. So guys, get out there and do it. Thank you so much.